when your first impression is a good one, and the greeting and that interaction is a good one, a very small amount of oxytocin you both produce.
Wow.
It's a feeling of trust.
What's up? What's up? Welcome to Stories 100 podcast. This is your host AJ Sharma. On this next episode, I'm very excited to introduce you to a very special guest. She has been crowned Miss India East. She has won Miss World Elegance contest. She runs her own academy called Savoir Faire Academy, where she teaches people the etiquette techniques so that they can improve their personal life and their professional life. She has achieved so much at such a young age, and not only that, she's a great human being. Without further ado, let's welcome Konkana Bakshi to this podcast and let's get to know more about her journey. Welcome, Konkana, to the podcast. We are so excited that you're here today. You're truly a representation of a youth icon. I mean, you've achieved so much success at such a young age. It's a pleasure to talk to you today. So how are you today?
It's a pleasure is all mine, and thank you so much for having me over. I've been looking forward to connecting with you. Thank you so much. I'm very well. I was teaching. It's Sunday, IST time. It's Indian Standard Time. It's about 7 o'clock in the evening right now. I was teaching this afternoon. I teach over the weekends because that's when most of my clients are free. And yes, productive weekend. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Oh, we are doing good. Actually, we were looking forward to this morning. Podcast is something that we just recently started, and we're having so much fun and energy with this because we get to talk to people like you, achievers, right? People who are on a path to, not only do good for themselves, to also inspire others as well. I mean, you have an amazing journey. I mean, you have done so much. I mean, as far as, as we understand that you started your journey with, competing for the Miss India contest, Miss Elegance World, and then you went on to founding your Savoir Faire Academy, and then you have a lot of motivational content online and also etiquette content online. You're into philanthropy. You do so much. And when we connect with people like you, it's just not only for the listeners and viewers, they get a lot of value out of it. It's just something that also benefits us and it benefits everybody. So it's such a great, so we are so excited to be here today. And the weekend is going great.
I'm really looking forward. I'm all ready when you are.
Yes.
So before Miss India, I went to several other beauty pageants.
Wow.
Which not many people know. I went to my first beauty pageant, which was Glad Rags, and I was underage. So I'll give you a quick story. I actually didn't give them my birth certificate and my real age because I was underage. I wouldn't have got through. Now, when I met Mrs. Maureen Wadia, she was auditioning for Glad Rags, and I was in school. I was 15, turning 16, and I auditioned for it because I was a tall kid. Nobody understood nobody got to know my real age until I was already in top 10, and we had to go to Mauritius for a shoot. And then Mrs. Wadia asked for my passport, and she understood that I basically faked my age, and that was. And then my parents had to write a letter for me to be able to go and shoot for the magazine, basically. So that was my first beauty pageant. Miss India was one of my last pageant, and I attended Miss India when I was 19 in 2009. Before Miss India, I won Miss Elegance World. I went to Chinese Miss World. I went to Miss International. I went to several international beauty pageants.
That is beautiful. And that how did that feel at that time? You're young and you are given so much opportunity to showcase your talent. And how does it feel at that time about that?
I was a kid, and that was my way to travel the world. It was
That's
terrifying.
exciting.
Let me tell you that because I remember when I went to Chinese Miss World and I went to Chinese Miss World when I was 16. And international beauty pageants do accept participants who are under 18, but not Indians. Now I went to Malaysia to represent India. I went to Kuala Lumpur, and I was in the airport, and I was petrified. This Indian kid, you know, you have to change the airport, and I was 16 years old.
And you went by
Mrs.
yourself?
What? By myself, I was
You went
representing
by
India.
yourself?
Yeah, by myself. So after Glad Rags, I got an opportunity to represent India in an international platform, and that was Chinese Miss World. If I remember correctly, it was probably 2006, and I went to Kuala Lumpur International Airport, and I was totally lost because I had to change, you have to take another train to go to the terminal or whatever. Then obviously, when that happens for the first time, pray that somehow you get through to it because you're just a kid after all.
No,
And then
no.
obviously the chaperone comes and they give you the sash of Miss India and give you the press is all there and they hand you over the bouquet, etc. It's a responsibility you carry to represent your country internationally because at the end of the day, the international beauty pageant, the organization calls you Miss India and not Konkana,
Yes.
So
That is
then
so. That's important that you actually touch on that because, it's not. That is so beautiful how you said it. It's actually you represent the whole country, and you have so much. Excellent. That's amazing.
at 16, it sounds like all fun and game, but you do get to travel. Everything is paid for, all your travels, all your everything. But at the end of the day, you're Miss India and you're representing your country. Your parents are calling you and telling you that, remember, beta, it's the home country that you're representing. And obviously, Mrs. Wadia is calling, my mentor. She was calling and she taught me how to build better relationship with other pageant winners. So I was taught to carry, Indian gifts like bindis or bangles and tea. And I actually did build better relationship and represented my country just the way I was taught. And I was 16. It was all fun, but yes, it was a lot of responsibility. Another thing I learned in Chinese Miss World is how to eat with a chopstick. I had no,
I have always struggled with that. I could never pick it up. And you know what? Something. And but I guess I mean, if I put in enough time and give it enough attention, maybe someday I'll be able to pick it up. Well, it's so difficult. It is so difficult, right, to do that.
No, I mean, now I teach very easily. I wish I had a pair of chopsticks. I would have taught you right now. But it's very easy. It's just like, oh, I'll teach you sometimes. I don't have a pair of chopsticks. But when I was in China, when I was there in Kuala Lumpur representing for Chinese Miss World, I had no other option because you have to eat your food with chopsticks. Exactly. And my chaperone, when I said,
it also helps too because you're in that culture, and the more you blend into that culture, and it's better. This is just something I understand is that wherever you go, the more you are blended into that culture when it comes to food, clothing, eating, anything. It just helps you connect with those people better.
Absolutely. And, when I told my chaperone, I don't know how to eat my food without a fork and knife. And she just said, well, learn. And that's it. It's like, boom. At the age of 16, I had to adapt to another culture. And I think nothing taught me global etiquette than representing my country in different international beauty pageant from the age of 16 to 19. Those 3 years taught me more etiquette, global knowledge and etiquette than any other finishing school could. Because that's I was carrying the burden of my country, and I was just literally carrying my flag.
That is beautiful. And especially when it comes to at a younger age, when you get a lot of different experiences, is so beautiful because it opens up your mind to different ideas, different cultures, different things that people believe in, and you become more an open-minded person. It helps tremendously in that.
Absolutely.
What was your experience there, and what are your thoughts on that?
I think I was very fortunate to get support from my parents because I'm from Calcutta, and I am actually from a very conservative family. My extended family very very conservative, so they were shocked to know that I was going to a beauty pageant, but I'm one of those kids who wore high heels at the age of 11 and will walk down the living room pretending to be a supermodel.
Wow, that's good. Oh, that's it. So wow, that what, I was going to ask you a question on that. It was like, what was your dream growing up? A lot of times people say, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a lawyer, right? And now I think you kind of hinted at that because when you were 11, you're wearing high heels and you're doing a ramp walk at home. Is this something that you were working on this for quite some time?
Absolutely, absolutely. It was, I think, meant to be. In fact, my school teachers used to call my parents and complain that after because I went to a convent girls' school and I had to tie my hair and we had to, maintain a certain decorum. So every time the bell used to ring, I used to just open my hair and I used to just walk like a, It didn't work on my favor at that time, let me tell you that.
That's beautiful. So when when you're going for this pageant, the Miss India, Miss Elegance World, what are some of the challenges that come into that? Because there may be viewers or listeners that listen to this and they may be thinking about doing that. And it all, if you look at it from the surface, it looks very glorious and it's very rewarding once you win it and once you're in the competition as well. But what are some of the hurdles that you faced or you've seen other people face when they are trying to go for something like this?
I think the most important understanding I would ask anyone thinking about going to a beauty pageant or even starting a career to be able to understand that rejection is hard. I cried in my pillows day in and day out when I was rejected from several I attended many beauty pageants. Sometimes you make it to top 10, sometimes you make it to top 5, sometimes you win the Miss Elegance World crown like I did. Okay?
Wow.
But not every pageant you win the crown. In certain pageants you get out in top 10, or maybe you don't even make it to top 10. And that rejection is very hard, because simply because when you're 16 or when you're 17, you're very sensitive.
Yeah.
I am glad that I learned to take rejection at a very young age. It was hard. I didn't have my parents to give me a hug and say it's all right because I was in another country altogether. I had to do it all myself. But I think attending international pageant at a very early age taught me how to deal with rejection with grace. How to deal with.
That's that's so nice how you actually shared that, because that's something that as you go through life, you get rejected at many things like interviews, job interviews. If you are trying to build a business, sometimes you don't succeed, right? But it's something that through my motivational speaking work and talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, successful people, that's something that's common in most of them. Like how you are sharing right now, a little bit of the rejection that happened early on in your age kind of set yourself up, that it sets you up for a higher level in your life. It just kind of works out that way. And the more you get, it's kind of a weird idea, but the more you get used to rejection, the higher you will go in life. It works that way, and it's weird. It kind of doesn't even sound right, but if you get used to that and you can understand that, it propels you to a higher level. So yeah.
Rejection definitely works on your favor in a long run. Now that I look back, I got rejected from Fashion Week. When I was 16, I was auditioning for Lakme Fashion Week in India, and I got rejected for knock knees. Because when little children try to wear high heels, it's not good for your knees. So I was like 9 or 10 and I used to wear high heels and start walking like a model, So anyway, I got rejected from Fashion Week, but in a long run, now that I look back, it's all right, Yeah. It's okay that I got rejected. I learned so many good, important lessons in my life just by getting rejected.
That's so powerful. And I hope people who are listening to this and they're watching this podcast, it's something personally that I have observed in my life too, is that the more you get rejected, the higher up you go. And I've had success in many areas of my life as well, and the more failures I've had and the more I've took them positively, the higher up I have gone in my life, in my career, and all those things. So yeah, it's very nice that you had to share that, because it helps people to hear from people that are successful. Like you are a really good example of that. And when they hear that, it kind of makes it concrete for them, because a lot of times people think that somebody who's successful, they're naturally talented at that, but that talent may or may not be there. But the hard work, rejection, all these building a strong mindset, those are the things that actually take you to the next level. So thank you so much for sharing that. It's so beautiful.
Rejection teaches you, I think, empathy, because when you go through rejection yourself, it's a lot of pain, mental and emotional pain. That, I think, teaches you the value of being empathetic towards other people. I think that's something that I learned over the years.
That's nice. So you started the Savoir-Faire Academy, and I hope I said that the right way.
It is Savoir-Faire Academy. You're right.
I listened to your YouTube videos, and when I was thinking, I hope I get the pronunciation right. So what was your idea behind that? Starting the academy.
So it's very interesting. When I was growing up, I met two of my mentors at a very young age. Mrs. Maureen Wadia, I met her when I was 15, and I met Miss Elegance Merchant when I was 16. These two ladies shaped me for who I am today. When I met them, I knew, all right, I looked up to them so much, just the way they conducted themselves, the way they dressed, the way they spoke. I knew that, well, I loved being around them. I had no idea to start a finishing school. Absolutely no idea. But Mrs. Wadia came into my life when I attended Glad Tracks, and Miss Merchant came into my life when I attended Miss India. In fact, before Miss India, I was training under Mrs. Merchant, Mrs. Sabira Merchant, for 2 years before I attended Miss India. Also, I attended a finishing school abroad, and I knew that, especially exactly how you mentioned, that when I was growing up and I wanted to go to a finishing school, not to only learn how to hold a fork and knife, but also etiquette that goes beyond just social finesse. And I think everywhere in India, there were finishing schools, grooming workshops that only taught you how to hold a fork and knife and how to use a chopstick. Those are basic manners. But when I started Savoir-Faire, I was actually looking for something that's more niche, that's more, that would teach you beyond social mannerism. And that's when I started Savoir-Faire in 2013.
So I understand, is this more about developing your overall personality as a person, right? So instead of like you said, it could be, when we are growing up, and I was thinking about this today, and I wanted to ask you too, when we are growing up, the basic, table manners or how to wear your clothing, those are some of the basics that we learn as we're growing up, right? But, just one of my thoughts that I have, picked up on in my life is that, your etiquettes are part of your communication, right? And one of the strongest things that I have personally experienced in my life is that when people don't know you in a business setting, because they don't know you at a personal level, they make assumption about you based on how you present yourself, because that's all they can go off of, right? So if you present yourself a certain way and you don't, you're not making an impression, a first impression, right? Then, it's really not their fault. It's more something that we need to work on ourselves to maybe improve our etiquette, our appearance, our communications, right? I mean, is that how you understand as well?
Absolutely. Human psychology is based on superficial evidence. So when we meet someone for the first time, we tend to make a certain perception about them based on superficial evidence like visual
And that's a
impact, for
fact.
example.
And that is a fact. A lot of people in our minds, we think that I am who I am because I know who I am. But the other person, if they meet you for the first time, they don't know who you are. The only thing they can go off by is how you present yourself. And if you understand that, that is so powerful. Right?
Absolutely.
That is so powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But what I would like to add to that is your first impression goes beyond your visual impact. It's how you make the other person feel in your company in the first 7 seconds. You produce
That's
you
interesting.
produce a hormone called oxytocin,
Uh-huh.
the hormone for building trust. When you meet someone for the first time, and if the greeting is a positive interaction. So oxytocin is produced by a mother and a child when the mother is in labor, and that's what make the child bond stronger to the mother than the father, because of that hormone that's produced called oxytocin. When your first impression is a good one, and the greeting and that interaction is a good one, a very small amount of oxytocin you both produce.
Wow.
It's a feeling of trust. So when I meet you for the first time and I just met you and I know that I can trust, he looks trustworthy, he looks like I can depend on him, he looks efficient.
That's interesting. I mean, that's interesting because it's good for us to know that, because a lot of people don't do that much research on it, but there's scientific evidence, like you said, that actually proves that. So that's very nice to know.
So even if you go for an interview, for a job interview, you may look very polished, but if you don't look efficient or trustworthy, the HR may not be able to trust you enough to give you the job. So It's not only visual impact, it's not only how polished and well put together you look, you have to come across approachable. You have to come across as, that we can depend on you. So that's, I think, very important part of personal branding. Now, etiquette, image, what we really try to do for our clients is to enhance their personal brand, So life and business works on their favor. Their professional life and their social life works on their favor. That is our job. That is my job, I would say.
And that is so powerful, because people who, especially in business, whether you're in sales, whether you're CEO, VP, or I guess at any position in a company, when you are dealing with other people and you have interaction, it's very important for us to know that other people are making judgments, which is just a fact. That's just how humans work, right? Because they have to filter out who they can trust, who they cannot trust, right? And like you said, a lot of that happens within the initial few seconds of the conversation. And all of us do that because it just happens naturally, even though we may think that we don't, but it's just a natural process how we do it. And with your work at Savoir-Faire Academy, so what me and my wife were talking about this last night, and we were thinking, so what should we name this, this podcast title? And actually what we thought of is that we named it as Transforming Lives with Her Work. And because that's how we see this as, that the work that you're doing, and you're truly a very, very good example of somebody who wins a pageant, who actually lives up to their name as well, because you're actually taking your work forward to create a lot of benefit for the society, the people, and it's just so nice. And and I wish a lot of people see this podcast today and go to your website and get or watch your YouTube videos and start to follow you and add to your following, because it's so important. It's very nice.
How kind. Thank you so much. You've been so gracious. You give me a lot of happiness by your words. Thank you so
And you know,
much.
and honestly speaking, thank you so much for doing that, because there's not a lot of people who actually take it forward as, you know what, okay, so I have done this, I've achieved huge success like you have in my life, and then you know what, I want to spread this across and I want to make world a better place as well. That's what you're doing through your work.
And nothing gives me the ultimate satisfaction. When I look at the before and after image of my client, that is my drive. So when a client or a student come to me, and it's like looking at the statue of David.
Mm-hmm.
The person who made the statue of David, the sculptor, did mention it. Just after all, it's a stone. It's a piece of stone. You have to carve it to make the statue of David.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I look at every human being who comes to Subwoofer Academy for a transformation. I look at the end result. I know what he or she is capable of looking and being.
Yeah.
I look at the end result. I look at the post-transformation photo shoot right at the assessment session.
Yeah.
I think that is my drive,
Yeah. And then one of the other things is this, and this is something that I want to bring it up because I know a lot of people think about this, is that so when you go to maybe an etiquette school, and I think you briefly touched on it, it's not just about getting polished on the outside, your clothing, the way you wear it, or the hair, or the way you look. It's also about, like the way you said it, it's about building trust. And that goes a little bit more about how you I think you could probably speak on it a little better than I can, because I'm not an expert, but like how you make your eye contact, how you do your handshake, the way you speak as well. Can you talk a little bit about that, because I think a lot of people would find value in that. So it's a little beyond than just your physical appearance. It's about your interaction.
So a lot of people think of etiquette and being polished is how well dressed and well put together you are. That's one aspect of it. But I think the foundation of etiquette are the principles of etiquette. That means nobody should be intimidated by you, no matter how pretty you are or how well put together you are. If someone's intimidated by you and they are not able to approach you, that goes against etiquette.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's an etiquette faux pas. So if you're taking too much pride in your beauty, your wealth, your accomplishment, that is an etiquette faux pas, which not many people talk about.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about etiquette, about dining etiquette and business card exchange and all of that. But your ethics, your values, your relationship buildings are the foundations of etiquette. If you don't know how to hold your fork and knife, we will forgive you. I'll still trust you.
That is true. That's true. And then what it is, and one of the other things is that and you briefly touched on that earlier too, is that a person could be very polished. They could look, they could be suited up. If you're a gentleman, you could have a tie, tuxedo, anything. But people may still find it difficult to trust you because you don't have the other factors, like you said, is the foundation of relationships, foundation of work ethic, and just ethics general in life, and and all that does come across when you are talking to somebody, and yeah, so that's powerful for all of us to know.
That first impression should be, well, she may be very beautiful, but I'm able to approach her.
Yeah.
I feel good enough to just walk up to her and say hello. And if that gentleman or a lady is not being approachable, that's an etiquette faux pas. So I think that a lot of finishing school globally should touch upon is the importance of being approachable.
Yeah. And when it comes to being approachable, how does one prepare themselves for being approachable? And I have some thoughts, ideas in my mind how one does that, but you're an expert, so we would love to ask you, is that how does one do that?
So there is a fine line between being approachable and losing your authority.
Okay, yes, you're right.
You have to maintain that balance of, without losing your authority, you still have to be approachable. Nobody should take you for granted, but people should not shy away from
coming and talking to you.
coming and approaching you for something. So
That's
there is a fine balance that you have to conduct yourself at all times with a certain decorum. Etiquette is a lifestyle. When
yes.
you conduct yourself,
And you're absolutely correct about that, because you're right. Etiquette is, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, etiquette has to be a lifestyle, because if you adapt yourself as you being you, like you said, the way you dress, the way you look, that's part of your personality. Your work ethic, your ethics, your morals, your smile, or just your persona, it's you. You're not trying to be a person or this polished person for 5-10 minutes of this meeting that you're having. What makes it easier is if this is you and that's just you, and that's what makes it easier. And that's what your academy does, is that it changes your thought process, your idea, so you actually become a new person by the end of the course.
absolutely. The facade doesn't last for too long. If you want to have
Yeah, true that.
so what happens is, what I do not encourage is to have two images. Etiquette is a lifestyle. How you conduct yourself in your living room or in your bedroom when no one's watching you, that sort of brushes off in your public personality as well. So the way you conduct yourself, and when you choose to conduct yourself in a certain way, you will see people around you start respecting you more.
Definitely.
Even people who don't know you, they have never met you before, they would conduct themselves in a more polished way in front of you, just because you exude that charisma, you exude that decorum. And that cannot be a two personality thing. You have to be able to conduct yourself in a refined and elegant manner in your private life to have that personality for your public image.
Definitely. And and what it probably comes down to is changing habits.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Changing habits, right? Yeah, changing habits. I do a little bit of research on, I'm a motivational speaker. I speak at companies and corporations, and this is something that I enjoy studying myself. Now that I'm having this discussion with you, and I'm just, trying to digest what you're sharing here, is that, how does one link all of this to their life, their personality, or how they want to, to make it easier, is that if you start to change your habits, and then this will all start to come together. And habits, when it comes to, some of the changes that you recommend in your programs.
Absolutely. And it is a lifestyle transformation. You can't be in a 3-piece suit, look very polished and elegant, if you don't maintain a certain body language when you're in your pajamas, for example.
Yeah, and it's hard to pull off too, because you will just not be yourself, and you're just uncomfortable because you're putting on an act for a short period of time, right? Yeah, definitely.
I'll tell you, it's very interesting. When I sleep, I actually, now it has become a part of my lifestyle, but for all the ladies out there, you should keep your knees and your ankles together. The more composed your body language is, you look slimmer, taller, younger, fresher, and also you look more elegant in general. So when I sleep, I think to myself that, no one's watching me. I can sleep how I want.
Yeah.
Or I can still keep my elbows together and knees together and sleep more gracefully. Now, can you imagine, when you sleep, you don't know how your body language is.
It's a challenge.
It is a challenge, but you put yourself in that shoes, and then when your body language is polished, when you're able to walk more gracefully and all of that, you just look more composed and more elegant. Now, all of these, once again, these are the choices you make. What you can't have is, if you're just walking around with your elbows all over in your living room and suddenly be graceful swan in a public platform. It doesn't work like that. So it has to be there has to be a little uniformity in your public and your private image.
Yes, that is true. And it makes it easier too. If you change yourself overall, you don't have to put up an act anymore. You're just you. That's just how you are, and you just kind of gonna. And one thing about habits also is that a lot of people don't think about it, and which I didn't knew either when I first started off, is that once you change your habits and when you develop new habits, the new habits are also hard to change, which is a good thing. Because once you develop yourself into this new person, this new personality, a more finished one, then that is hard to change, and that's just you. That's just how you are. You naturally become that. You train your mind enough times, and it's just you're a new person.
Yeah, well, when you are transformed, it is quite challenging to keep up to that transformation. It's very easy to be lackadaisical and go back to your previous lifestyle. The challenge is consistency.
You're right about that. You're right about that. Definitely.
Consistency is the challenging part, and it is very doable. The good part is, when I started Summer Fair, I didn't teach. I used to just run the company, and I was very young. So I was about 22. Corporate wouldn't have taken me seriously if I taught. So what I did, I used to just run the company without disclosing my age, and I used to have very senior experts like Mrs. Sabina Merchant. I used to have John T. Rhodes, Dilip Cherian to teach on my behalf when I curated the model. Now, there is a perception. You have to be old enough to teach in the corporate world. Now, without disclosing my age, I looked older. There are ways to do that. You can wear high contrast color combination. You can be in a level 1 formal, simply to look more credible. And right now I don't have to make so much effort because I'm old enough. But that time it was a challenge. But what I realized is that I also transformed as and when I was running the company. Mm-hmm. The way I taught the corporates, I also have several business leaders who came at their 50s. In their 50s, they have become my private client for transformation, and it's very doable at any age. If you have,
totally agree. Totally, you can benefit at any given age from this.
Absolutely. So it doesn't matter how old you are. There's a perception, oh, she's very young, so this is the right time to go to a finishing school. The best transformation I have witnessed in my clients in their 50s, in their late 40s and 50s. Impeccable transformation. Their communication to voice modulation, to presentation skills, to body language, impeccable, great transformation. So there is no age. You have to make a decision and you have to be consistent.
Yeah, you're right about that. And and it's such a huge benefit. I can personally relate to that myself as well. Like like you shared, voice modulation, the way you wear your clothes, and the way you dress up. These are some of the things that I've been improving on myself as well. And I'm going to definitely look into your program as well. So in your programs at Summer Fair, are there different levels of it, different programs? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So my private transformations are always bespoke. So when we meet the client, we understand their lifestyle and what they need. Accordingly, we bespoke the module. Normally, it's around 21 private session that guarantees a transformation. It's done over 11 weeks, mm-hmm. twice a week, one-on-one, without disclosing the personal identity of the client. For a man, it's 21 session. Also for a woman, it's 21 session. Bespoke, completely designed according to the lifestyle. For a bride to be...
Is one session per week, or how is that broken out?
Twice a week, no more than twice a week. So we don't encourage more than twice a week, because the internalization is very, very important.
Got it. Understood. And internalization, you have to be able to absorb, adapt, and change, and that taken slowly over time will give you a much better benefit than trying to rush through it.
Absolutely.
Totally agree.
Rushing through it doesn't work, simply because it's so much information. When will you internalize it in your lifestyle? If The information is taught to you back to back. I can teach 15 sessions a day. How much can you take? So that's why I guarantee the transformation. Even if my clients needs 24 session out of 21 session, instead of 21, if I feel that my client needs 3-4 more sessions, I do it from my side. Without charging any extra sort of remuneration. Why? Because the transformation is very important. At the end of the day, he or she will be representing savoir-faire in the society, in the business world. So that is, I think, very important to me.
And that's what we saw in your work as well. I know you put a lot of content out there on YouTube as well, and I urge the viewers and the listeners to go check out the content of Konkana. And it's just, that is why we named this podcast Transforming Lives, because honestly, when we look at your videos, it's a lot of work. Like, there's some good work that, she has put together on these videos. You can definitely gain a lot of benefit out of that, and actually take you to a higher level, practically speaking, in your work, in your career, in your business, whether you're a salesperson, executive, any level. I found that to be useful. So you definitely check out her work.
Thank you. In fact, private sessions, we don't video record them, simply because we sign an NDA with all our private clients, and we do not disclose their personal identity or their names, etc. So the video you see, these are all workshop videos, not our private sessions. Yeah. So that's kind of, in fact, my private clients, they become my friends. I become the confidant. I become more than just a consultant in their life. And you'd be surprised. I think my closest friends are actually savoir-faire guests who have been there with many, many years, Yeah. We happen to meet as consultants and clients, but our relationship go far beyond that. And they have come back several times.
That is very nice. And not only that, it's just also that there's a lot of energy to the whole idea as well. And I mean, I personally believe in this too, is that, for your clients, I'm assuming this is how they feel, is that when they stay associated with you, you're always probably reinforcing them with positive ideas, how they can continue with this path that they're on. And then, they see the benefit of it and they just stick with it. And not only that, they see the benefit at work, I'm sure this is something that they actually enjoy as well. I mean, this is something that benefits them to, present themselves as trustworthy. They feel good about themselves. They feel more confident. They feel more polished, trustworthy. There's such a big benefit. Being a human is just so powerful.
The interesting part is, after the 21 sessions over, obviously we give the luxury of attending those sessions as and when my clients are extremely busy, they are traveling all over the world. But after the transformation also, they find a way to come back. And then it was slightly challenging. What else can I offer them? Because the transformation's already done. Then I came up with a module of luxury appreciation, which is an extension of the transformation. When the clients are very interested in luxury, a lot of people like to buy nice things. But when you know the history of the background of the brand, etc., you appreciate it more. It's like investing in art. So I created this module of luxury appreciation, social anxiety, in-depth research on social anxiety, and anti-aging. So those are the extension. When my clients, they chose to just come back and say, well, what else? Come on, Konkana, I want to. And that also gave me an opportunity to, expand my module. And I think it was very interesting, especially luxury appreciation, because it's a very niche subject, luxury appreciation. And that gave me an opportunity to educate myself even more.
That's very nice. And not only that, it gives your clients an opportunity to stay with you, and that's powerful. I mean, that is powerful. And to have you by their side as well is very nice. And it's congratulations to you too for putting that thought into it, that how can I take this to the next level and serve my clients even more and stay with them. It's beautiful, very nice.
Rather than serving my client, I look at it, okay, my friend, he wants to come back to me. What does he need? How can I benefit your life principles always, right? And obviously, luxury appreciation, etc., comes after your transformation for etiquette and image is done.
Yeah.
I think the relationship that we form is very, very precious to me. And I think my clients understand that. And that's why the relationship is so strong. Everything is about relationship, isn't it? If the relationship, if the bond is not beautiful, would you trust me to even be a part of my life?
Exactly. And you know what? You are dropping some real knowledge bombs here, because this is something that is so powerful. A lot of times, what you just shared right now is that a relationship is everything. A lot of times when people are in business and they are trying to make a sale, or they're trying to sell a product or a service, right? If they just basically understand that idea, what you just shared about relationship, their business will actually really take off, because you're not looking at things on a transaction level. You're actually thinking of it 5 years, 10 years down the road, and maybe a lifelong relationship with the customer, and turn them into friends like you did. And that is so powerful. And instead of focusing on money, it's about serving that relationship. And that's very nice.
I don't think, the good part is the power of relationship building is something that I learned from my father. My father keeps telling me, it doesn't matter if you get the business or not. Do it. It doesn't matter what you get out of it. Do it. That's something I learned at a very young age. I don't do things to get something out of it. And in a long run, I feel it works on your favor. Also, when we teach business etiquette, relationship, business is people do business with people. That's how companies and relationships are built.
Absolutely.
People do business with people. People don't do business with a certain organization. The brand ambassadors of the organizations are who? The people who are working for the organization. So they are the people we do business with. So I think a relationship is a very, very important part of etiquette. I truly believe, business or social.
That's very nice. So in your academy, the way I understand it, you have two levels of courses. One is a transformation course, the etiquette course, and the second level is this niche level course where you are offering, so to say, niche services to the people who have done level one.
So yes, very good. A lot of research you've done. So we also offer corporates. We offer an annual program for corporates to do, like 8 to 12 sessions over the year for all the sales team or client relationship executives for corporates. Mm-hmm. We have young adult module for children, for young adult whose age is 15 to 19. That's an 8-session module for young adult. We have bridal transformation, like a pre-bridal transformation. And it's not only the etiquette part, we teach relationship, because the bride-to-be will be representing a new family altogether. The lifestyle transformation is huge, right?
Wow. That is interesting.
Yes, so it's important, the compassion, the empathy, the mannerism. It's very, very challenging to adapt yourself in a very new establishment, Yeah. In India, obviously, you think about staying with your in-laws and the challenges that comes with it. A bridal transformation is a very important part of etiquette, because we teach very in-depth knowledge about the importance of building relationship, because I truly believe when a lady is married to another family, she has the power to represent her own upbringing very well. And then obviously, in a marriage establishment, you represent each other, right?
Definitely. That is so powerful. And you know what? So glad to hear that you're actually focusing on that piece as well. In the business side of things, you see a very, a natural need for it. People see the value in it because it is ties to their, growth in career and business and work and all. But even on a personal level, you're touching on this. That is very nice. I mean, yeah, and I totally. I mean, like the way you're sharing it, the whole idea. When you go to another family and you're joining them, like in Indian culture, most girls do. This can really benefit them as well. That's beautiful.
And I also truly believe when two people do get married, their brand, their personal branding merge with one another. And like you and your wife are doing so well together, you're supporting each other and running this podcast together so successfully. And that is marriage all about, right? Representing each other very well. And I think that's a very important part.
Definitely. I could not do this without her. She's sitting right here. Yeah, I could not do this without her. This is, and we were talking to one of my friends yesterday, and we were. That's just something we got into, and it was just, having that, relationship and support means a lot. So that's very good.
Absolutely right. You merge with each other's success. You are probably the reason for her pillar of strength, and she's probably the reason behind your success. And that's how marriage and relationship works. And now, if we learn the challenges that comes with it, and also how we overcome them, we teach a lot of crisis management. That is not only in business but also in personal life. It's how to resolve difficult situation with principles of etiquette, with consideration, respect, and honesty. These are the 3 principles of etiquette, right? And you can resolve any relationship, any conflict, business or personal, with principles of etiquette.
That is that is so interesting and powerful. Because naturally speaking, what happens to humans is that, a business, so to say, conflict still can be resolved easily because you're in a business professional setting. So naturally, you are more respectful, restrained, and you deal with things in a much more, so to say, a calculative manner, right? And when in personal, many times things can get even worse because you're so emotional that sometimes people don't know how to be respectful, and that it's important to keep those lines engaged at the same time while you're trying to make your point, or when you're trying to share with somebody, hey, this is what is causing me an issue, and that is that's nice. You're truly doing work that is so powerful, and yeah, that's very nice.
Thank you. But one part about resolving difficult situation or any conflict is to give in. If business or personal, is to be let the other person have their way. In a long run, it'll work on your favor.
Wow, that is so powerful.
Don't look at instant gratification. We always tend to look at, especially youngsters like us, we tend to have our way. We tend to find a way to have our way. What are we getting out of it quickly? If we forget about it and think, I'm not going to get anything out of it, but I'll build a better relationship with the other person, that will work in your favor in a long run.
No, that's you're indeed it's very true about that. You're very true about that. Yeah, in the long term. Yeah, you just, like you said, instead of instant gratification, and just look at it long term. You're trying to more so focused on saving the relationship rather than looking at what do I need right now at the moment out of this.
True, absolutely. There are several clients of mine who didn't come to me 7 years ago, but I built a fabulous relationship and I was with them even if they didn't have me as a consultant officially. And they are all my clients today.
And you know what? I'm having so much fun talking to you right now, and it's just so you're talking ideas that help a lot of people, and it's actually opening me up to a lot of things too. And I'm enjoying this conversation with you.
Thank you.
So when it comes to setting goals for yourself, how do you do that? I mean, you have achieved so much success in your life already. You're truly an inspiration for the youth and a lot of people. And how do you go about achieving such things? And what you have accomplished is big at many levels. Going from Miss India pageant to Miss Elegance World, setting up your own business, and there's so much posting content online. How do you set goals to accomplish all of this?
I don't set any goals. I don't think it works if I set goals.
Uh-huh.
I just do things what drives me, because I have clients to look after and they are my responsibilities. Their transformation is my duty. It is my responsibility. When a businessman's coming to me and hiring me as a consultant, his transformation is my responsibility. So I think I look at it that way rather than setting goals. Oh, I have to achieve this month, or that's my sales target. I don't have any such things. I don't try to sell myself too hard, etc. If somebody needs savoir-faire, they'll come to savoir-faire. If they know um, the value of savoir-faire courses, they would come to us. And I have a good team who interacts with clients and set up appointments, and that's how we do it. I'm actually not very good at marketing myself very well, and I get a lot of criticism for that, let me tell you. So there'll be many PR who will come to me and say, oh, you have to post more content and more YouTube videos and tutorials, etc. I don't do it enough, in fact.
Actually, when you are actually adding a lot of value to other people's lives just by posting the content that you have. I personally found it very useful. My wife was looking at this, and we were just talking about it, that we enjoyed it, and it's so nice. And I urge people to go watch your YouTube videos, and I'm going to put a link for your website as well on this, and also your YouTube content as well. So I know you're into philanthropy. This is like one of those other things that I appreciate about you. What philanthropic causes do you believe in?
Oh, I believe in philanthropy in general. I lost my mother in liver transplant during a liver transplant surgery in 2015 at a very young age. She was 49. And I think everything changed after that. I truly have realized if God gives you an opportunity to succeed in life, you must give back in the society. That is your job.
Definitely. That is very nice how you put it. That's very nice how you put it. Yeah. And and even from my experience as well, and this is me and my wife do all the time, is that the more you give, the more you get back. And it's not just a cliche, it actually works. It's just energy. Like the more it doesn't even have to be money. A lot of times you can actually help people.
Kindness, out of kindness, just offer kindness. It doesn't have to be money at all. It can be just kindness. It can be just a conversation, a pair of ear that you want to, offer, friendship.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be money at all. Sometimes human connection is the biggest philanthropy. However, I am associated with Habitat for Humanity. I do like to work closely with them. I also work very closely in raising funds for liver transplant surgery for people from impoverished society, because liver transplant is a very expensive proposition, and a lot of people don't even go and do the transplant simply because it is not very economically friendly. So after I lost my mother, I lost my mom because there was a malfunction in the surgery. And in India, liver transplant is a very expensive proposition, and a lot of people don't even go ahead and do the surgery out of fear. So there are great doctors and I volunteer with them in trying to raise funds for liver transplant in general, especially for little children. And there are great successful cases, and that is my reward. I think that truly is a blessing.
That is very nice you're doing that. It's so helpful to so many people out there. And and maybe at the end of this podcast, in the video link, if you are associated with a certain organization, and maybe if other people want to contribute, let us know the link and we can share it in that as well, so that they can join your efforts.
Thank you. In fact, philanthropy is also a lifestyle, and you should start at a young age. I feel volunteering and philanthropy, I started at a young age. My parents taught me the importance of giving back to the society. And again, it's a lifestyle, just like etiquette, that you adopt at a young age and understand the value of not only philanthropy financially, but volunteering with different NGOs, teaching kids, anything that you're sparing through kindness. It's a huge blessing.
Definitely. And a lot of times people think, and I was kind of bad at this as well. You think that it has to be monetary, compensation or some type of monetary benefit you're giving to others, but it's really, I mean, it could be just philanthropy, could be just simply like, if you're working at an organization and you're helping the person that's trying to get to your level, you help them get to your level, so that it opens up the opportunity for you to go to the next level, right? This is just how the world and the relationships, this is just how people work. And once you understand that, you actually propel yourself higher, much higher than where you are today. And it's so
Off- Absolutely. Offering kindness is philanthropy.
exactly.
Simple act of kindness every day, if you can make that a part of your lifestyle, that will help you grow so much. By the way, there is a study that's been proved that scientists says that when you offer an act of kindness, you experience a rush of endorphins in your body.
And you feel happy. And yeah, exactly. And then it's not even just about doing somebody, it's nice to do something for somebody, but it benefits you more than even the other person.
Absolutely, you will feel it. Don't you feel great when you attend with little children? This birthday I'm giving out, I have huge teddy bears that I have collected as a kid, like really massive ones. And my birthday is coming up, and I'm giving all my toys away to a small organization who look after little children who are suffering for cancer. And every Christmas and every birthday, I do the same. Every single.
That's so nice. That is so nice. That is so nice.
And what bigger gift than? Would I choose a massive birthday party, or would I use the same expense and look after people who truly need it? Try it. And I would encourage every youngster to consider this. I think it's a better reward than having a birthday party. Just go to an NGO, go visit the old age home, go visit the little children's organization, and spend your birthday with them.
That is beautiful. That is so beautiful. I'll share something personal with you. Recently, for my daughter just turned 2 years old, and my wife shared this, is that she was saying, okay, you know what, we're gonna have this a little event with the kids at our home, but at the same time, let's do this, that we should actually go to a place where we can actually donate meals, clothes, and for the underprivileged. And that was and so we have adapted that now, that every birthday we're going to do something similar, and that's just so nice. That's just so nice.
It's pays you back in dividends. Blessings are the biggest reward. It's bigger than financial achievements.
That is,
I think
exactly.
I think as and when you grow older, you also truly experience those transitions. To be very honest with you, when I was younger, I was very ambitious, very driven. Now that I'm older, now I truly understand the meaning of empathy, that success is not everything. Success is not everything at all. Success is a part of achievements, but your happiness, your personal happiness is also very rewarding. It is very rewarding. It's better than success, I would say. It's better than success in your other professional accomplishments. If you have a nice family, you have a loving family, that's very important as well. And these are things I have learned with age and maturity. Earlier it was one track mind. How do I achieve my goal?
Exactly. When I was in my late teens and early 20s, my mindset was the same way. I think most of us go through that. We are so focused on building a career, building what we are trying to do, and then pretty much everything else is ignored at the moment. And sometimes it's good too, because you're laser focused, so it actually kind of helps you out. But at the same time, when you become, as you go through the progress, it's a natural progression. You become more level-headed, you become more balanced, and then you actually start to understand what the true priorities are. Like you said, happiness, and then having the people around you, and through your work, you actually helping out a lot of people, transform lives, and that is very nice. And that's what I'm thinking.
Absolutely.
I'm assuming that you get a lot of happiness out of that.
True. In fact, it's lonely at the top. Let me tell you. In fact, when you only think about let's achieve success, you may be very successful, and I have been through it. It may be a little lonely. Then you realize the value of relationship, family, true friendship, love in general.
Exactly. So so me and my wife, we also wanted to ask you. Can you give us a couple of like etiquette tips, like just generally for the viewers and us as well?
No, it'll be amazing. I was hearing the whole conversation and I just loved it.
Oh, you're so.
Yes.
I love what you're wearing. You look beautiful in that peach dress. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I think etiquette tips, you both don't need it at all. What I love, what I have really noticed is you are able to make someone feel amazing in your company. And I think that is the foundation of etiquette that we spoke about, how you make the other person feel in your company, how approachable you are, and how you
it's likewise.
And I think I felt amazing in your company. I felt great. I don't even know how an hour passed,
Yeah, I know, right?
That's how great conversations go.
Well, coming back to etiquette tips, I think the true meaning of etiquette is humility, and humility is the ultimate sophistication. Consideration, respect, and honesty are the principles of etiquette. So etiquette has two part of it. One's manners, which are the social decorum, how you hold your fork and knife, how you dress, etc. That's manners. And principles are the core component of etiquette, which are consideration, respect, and honesty. So that's what I would leave you with. Etiquette is nothing but relationship building, and how you're able to build, how successfully you're able to build relationship, and that is the beginning of etiquette. And you have ample of that.
That's amazing.
A beautiful conversation today. So one another thing, what is the message for the people that follow you, your fans and followers?
Human connection is everything. Don't be forgotten in isolation is what I would tell the younger generation, because social media is sort of working on our favor but also robbing the virtue of humanity. So I would say, know the value of human connection. Sit down with your family, have a cup of tea, keep your cell phone aside, forget about your Zoom meetings. Just build human connection. And I think that's something I would truly encourage the younger generation to take it seriously. Spend time with your family, spend time with your parents and people from different generation. That is the first way you can get rid of your inhibition. Social anxiety, by the way, in our generation is more than from our parents' generation or our grandparents' generation. That time there were no technology. That's why they had no other option but to connect human to human. In today's generation, we are so engrossed in social media that sometimes we forget to make the human connection, and I think that's very important.
Thank you so much. That's a beautiful conversation we had today.
And can I ask one last question?
Yes, absolutely.
Does your academy offer online courses too, or is it just in-person classes?
So I started virtual sessions over lockdown, and that taught me a lot. I have great clients who've become very good friends from Singapore, from London. I teach on different time zone, but this is something that I started over lockdown. Earlier I didn't, and it's going very successfully, thankfully.
Thank you. Yeah.
Congratulations on that. And you know what? In this day and age, that actually helps out a lot of people.
Absolutely.
I mean, people like us can also benefit. Like, sitting in US and you've been in India. If you plan to do something, we can always take benefit of that.
It would be my pleasure. In fact, earlier I wasn't very comfortable doing online virtual one-on-one courses, but now I'm teaching very successfully online, and just like my private clients, I'm able to build fabulous relationship with my client from Singapore, for example. We have become great friends. So I think technology has also given us this opportunity to be able to have this, to be able to teach even virtually and very successfully so. So I'm thankful.
That's amazing.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. So, your website, Savoir Faire Academy, I'm going to post that here as well. And then for your handle on Instagram and Facebook, can you please share that? And then we can also share that. So, what is your handle on Instagram?
Konkana Bakshi. Konkana.
At Konkana Bakshi. Okay, cool.
Konkana Bakshi. Yes.
So thank you so much for the podcast today. It was a great pleasure having you as our guest.
Thank you.
Awesome.
It's my pleasure. Great talking to you both. Thank you very much. Thank you.